Goma and konnichiwa. Plus, Yabaseo. We'll hear at the POLIT'AI CHI. Brief intro, talking briefly and concisely about video highlights coming up. See the statement going on there, and I'm going to have to do my Taoist best to keep my Scandinavian, Danish, berserker temper under control here. You see, I have got my best rendition, business attire-wise, Army color scheme. Now, it should be kind of obvious I'm affiliated with the Marine Corps in the intro. The lighting as well, it may not show up as much as I'd like to. But hey, it works out. NBC's poster girl for snarky. I freeze-framed it right here. I've not followed their bio because I gave up on them a long time ago. And again, I used to cover a bunch of stuff. I'm not going to get into all that in the interest of trying to keep this intro brief. But what were you thinking, Joe? She's like, whew, out of control. Not trying to be snarky here. Heard that a lot. These guys used to be pro, Trump booster program. The last vestige of centricity on MSNBC. I don't know what happened there, people. I'm super disappointed. I will just say for his part, to finish off that other thought. Did they get married? Is he going to annul it? Is the engagement off? You might want to reconsider, because she calls our Secretary of State a butts boy. Now, for all the hell Kevin Hart was given, that was a comedic situation. Look, it's great our society has become more inclusive with the gay lifestyle. But us straight guys, it's like, okay, whatever floats your boat. From the guy who graduated #1 in his class. Now remember, people, the military academies are Division I schools. Now, I'm speaking in football terms here. I played the game. Again, as a reminder, this is the channel where sports and politics collide. Now, it's not like they have a student body of West Point in particular. 65,000 all at Texas A&M. But your graduating class, obviously seniors, it's always been on the order of the high hundreds. #1 in his class. And she goes and runs her mouth up closing. This is a super lame choice of an apology. You don't say that in the first place when you have a platform reaching however many. They say they had, the ratings, highest ratings ever, like a year and a half ago. Whatever the last episode I covered of Morning Blow, Joe. You don't do an apology like this. You certainly don't say something like that from the safety of your set, from the safety of your computer. You say that to somebody. I think she's lost her freaking mind since her dad died, which is kind of sad because he was a centrist dude. Look up, her dad in terms of foreign policy. Joined at the hip sometimes with Henry Kissinger. Not necessarily a good thing, but they were always centrist in their approach to things. All right. Thanks for watching. No silly DUIs while you're out there. Roll.
All right, our interview with Melania Trump in a few minutes. The Destroy Trump media, they've sunk to a new low, as we mentioned in our opening monologue tonight. On MSNBC's Morning Joe show, co-host Mika Brzezinski was ranting about the U.S. relationship with the Saudis and called Secretary of State Mike Pompeo an anti-gay slur. Watch for yourself.
I understand that Donald Trump doesn't care. Heilman makes a good point. He doesn't care. But why doesn't Mike Pompeo care right now? Are the pathetic deflections that we just heard when he appeared on Fox and Friends, is that a patriot speaking? Or a wannabe dictator's butt boy? I'm dead serious. I'm asking, are these the words of a patriot?
Are these the words of a patriot? Really? Questioning his patriotism? Mr. Brzezinski, on the other side of that, said she was sorry, tweeting, quote, totally agree with your super bad choice of words. I should have said water boy, like for football teams or something like that. Apologize to Senator Durbin, too. So sorry. Here to discuss this left-wing media hypocrisy. Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce, Washington Times columnist Monica Crowley. Look, let's be honest. Joe and Mika hate my guts. Fine, I don't hate them, but I just think they're insane. I mean, it is like a train wreck TV every day in terms of everyone on that show tries to outdo each other with Trump hate, Tammy.
Yeah.
But I'm not the thought police. I'm not the speech police. And something they would never do for a Fox opinion host is say, you know what? No, stand up when people try to boycott or stand up when people call for firings. I believe she's probably sincere in her apology. People do want to destroy her career over this. This is a problem we have in all of media. Maybe if you make a lot of mistakes, at some point, that crosses a line. What's your take?
Yeah, my column today in the Washington Times actually looks at the attacks on Kevin Hart and Mr. Murray, who won the Heisman Trophy, for remarks made years ago, and of course, when Mr. Murray was a child. Mika Brzezinski is a middle-aged woman. She knows what she's doing. She's done television for a very long time. She's a sophisticated woman. That is a very specific phrase to use, not even just saying about it, whether it's about lifestyle or you use a word when you're a kid. She chose a phrase that was meant to dehumanize. And so that is going to speak about who she is as an individual, but at the same time, she apologized. Ultimately, she will be given a pass because she's a liberal. And whereas Mr. Murray and Mr. Hart will probably continue to be hounded. That's the difference, is that they will move along and they will be left alone, but others, there will still be an attempt to ruin their careers, to make their lives difficult. That is the problem here, and we've seen it all along. Usually if you're on the left, you do get a pass, and this is why we can see this as being not just hypocritical, but a determination to ruin people's lives by the left. Only conservatives are those who are not conforming clearly enough, and that's the message they want to send to everyone. She'll get a pass in the end on this.
And you know, we see this with other issues involving NBC, the recent firing of Megyn Kelly, for example, for her comments, Monica, but you have people that actually have dressed that way that still have jobs there. When she talked about that, the issue she was involved in, and I'm saying people have a choice, and they don't have to. We have to do a good show and ask people to come in. If we can come into your home, and we're honored if we get there. People don't have to watch any one show.
Continually to try to expose it. I'm not a fan of the word police. The word police easily morphs into the thought police, and that is a very dangerous road to go down. We're very far down that road already, and it is a form of tyranny and fascism. So I don't believe anybody should lose a job for misspeaking or for stating something and then apologizing. But that being said, those on the left have a long history of stating anti-gay slurs and anti-gay jokes, and then when they're called on it, they usually try to minimize it, usually with a cutesy kind of tweet, as Ms. Brzezinski did today, and pray that it goes away. And it usually does go away because, as Tammy points out, they have something not available to you, me, and Tammy, which is the protection of the mainstream media. So they don't get the pile-on that we do when we misspeak or when we make a mistake. Then our lives are ruined and our reputations are tarnished, but they get a pass and they're allowed to go forward. That double standard continues to be in place, and it needs to be exposed if we're ever going to hope to see an end to it.
Tammy, what you said about the slur part of it is right too. Nobody seems to have also paid attention to the part, the things they say about Trump there every day.
Yeah.
They speak for themselves. Mike Pompeo is a patriot serving his country.
That's right.
He's done an amazing job as Secretary of State, creating amazing opportunities for peace in the world. Again, hard things to do. Amazing job as our CIA director. And I just say, you're questioning this man's patriotism with abandon.
And she was responding on Twitter with that apology to a fellow who's a verified blue check, who I think was a photographer, who suggested to her that it would have been better if she'd called Pompeo a traitor. So the left would prefer you to be called something that would require an execution, where you should be killed if you're a traitor to the country. That would be the legal punishment, as opposed to a gay slur. We don't want any of that. And look, if you're in media at any point in time, you've said something that you regret and that you do apologize for. Our point here is the hypocrisy on that end, is their desire to destroy other people under a guise
guise of being a racist or a sexist or a homophobe. My first book lays out how all of that lives on the left.
I remember the book, yeah.
And that they apply it to the president especially, and that it's the name that is supposed to obliterate you. It's the hypocrisy with those individuals who don't even at least try to live and excise those kinds of phrases
like the old
from
idiom,
their lives.
and
I think that's what's worth pointing out.
And you know what, Sean, into the content of what she was saying, set aside the anti-gay slur for a second. She was tarnishing President Trump and his Secretary of State for what? For trying to maintain the alliance with Saudi Arabia as they're trying to develop an anti-Iran coalition, which is a very serious and meaningful, substantial foreign policy exercise, okay? But I didn't hear in the 8 long years of President Obama, I didn't hear Mr. Brzezinski or Mr. Scarborough talk about President Obama, Secretary Clinton, Secretary John Kerry.
No, that's not true. They did give
to align themselves with the
email situation with Clinton. They did.
Rouhani,
and that's why I say, what the hell happened?
That regime is at least as bad as Saudi Arabia.
They put senators on the spot who were defending Clinton.
That regime has
this is 3 years ago.
Americans
well, some happened
and
in the last 3 years
around the world, and they still target Israel and
Kerry.
the Jews. And so I didn't hear a peep out of them on that. But here they're attacking Secretary Pompeo and the president for being traitors and all manner of offenses against the United States. I didn't hear them attacking President Obama.
Monica, a year and a half ago, John Kerry admitted that when we released that $150 billion to Iran, he admitted that some of that would likely be used for terrorism, but there's nothing we can do about it. We didn't hear any complaint from the Democrats or Nancy Pelosi or anyone else when those admissions were made, and this is where we're at with these individuals.